Kamala Harris and other Democrats warned if the Orange Tyrant was elected that he would carry out Project 2025, something that he said he knew nothing about. But everything that is happening within the United States right now is clearly laid out in Project 2025. It envisions a top-down dismantling of U.S. immigration. Most of Project 2025 focuses on undocumented immigration. It also targets people that are in the U.S. legally. It is heartbreaking, the abject cruelty that is shown towards immigrants. The Orange Tyrant said in the campaign trail, and continues to say, that DHS is going after the worst of the worst. But out of the 57,861 that have been rounded up from January to July, data shows that only 9.3% have violent or serious offenses. 71.7% have no criminal convictions at all, and 19% have minor convictions, such as misdemeanors, immigration violations, or traffic offenses. As someone that has studied 1930s, 1940s Germany, the similarities between Hitler's Gestapo and ICE are striking. The only difference between ICE and the Gestapo is the Gestapo were not afraid to show their faces. I've compiled some videos that have happened within the last 7 months of the Orange Tyrant being in office. Some of them will be hard to watch, but we need to get videos like this out so we can help change the narrative. All credit goes to the content creators.
Constitutional right, and it is time to fight back. Yep, you heard it. It is time to fight back. You want to talk about deportation? I want everyone to stop calling it deportation, because it is not deportation. It is kidnapping. Let's call it what it is. Let's go ahead and admit to the fact that we're not giving anybody due process. You are kidnapping fathers from their families. You are kidnapping mothers from their children and locking them up in cages like criminals. For what? For a misdemeanor? For a misdemeanor? When was the last time you saw a citizen locked up in a maximum security facility for fishing without a license? Because that's all it is. The same legal category as a traffic violation. But you turn it into a SWAT-style takedown in front of children in schools, in churches, and in homes. That's not law enforcement. That's a state-sponsored terror. Let me remind you of what the Constitution says. We, the people. It doesn't say not we the citizens. It says not we the privileged, or it says we the people. That means anyone on American soil is guaranteed due process, the right to a fair hearing and equal protection under the law. But instead, ICE plays judge, jury, and executioner. You don't give people a trial, you give them a bus to get on. You don't let them speak to an attorney. You throw them in a detention center with no windows, no rights, no voice, no food, and no water. This isn't justice. This isn't freedom. This is kidnapping under the disguise of paperwork. Let's call it what it is. You disappear people without a trial. You tear families apart without a court order. You lock people away like they're monsters for a misdemeanor. That's not immigration enforcement. That's a violation of human rights. And if you still think this is okay, let me ask you one question. Would you be okay if they did it to your daughter, your mother, your son, your father? Would you call it policy? Or would you call it what it was, a crime, kidnapping? So today, I say enough is enough. If they come for one of us, they're coming for all of us. And we will not sit down. We will not be silent because we, the people, have had enough of the lies, enough of the terror, enough of the silence. This is not about politics. It's about the people. It's about justice. It's about the promise that this country made when it wrote the first 3 words of the Constitution. We, the people. And we are rising up. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now!
Anne kaçmıyorum. Anne kaçmıyorum. This is a good one. Okay, it's fine. I'm able to just go. Okay. Okay. Can I just close the car? Yeah. Well, I'm trying to see if you're here. Okay. Okay, with the police. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's go. Ma'am, you got it. Okay. Take a breath. No, we're gonna. Can I see your? Yep. We're gonna take it right to the car. Come on. I'll show you everything. Okay. Sure. Yep. You're fine.
I understand you're looking scary. Where the police? Where the police?
Where the police?
Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
Yep. Take everything. Yep, I'm back with the doctor. Got it with you.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look.
I see some faces here. How do I know this is the police? It's like, oh, hey, you're a police like me. Going on here?
Non c'è problema, amico, non c'è problema, amico. Hold on, P, man. Sorry. Move back. Out the way, boys, out the way. You're gonna get knocked down. Move!
It's time to speak up. ICE is now removing undocumented foster children from their foster homes. Removing foster children from their foster homes for deportation. Y'all, I've been working in the foster care system for 28 years. I'm a former foster mom, and I adopted 4 children from foster care and fostered many others. And I have represented hundreds of children who are in foster care. And one thing all of these children have in common is they have all been through trauma to one degree or another. We are taking children who have already been through trauma and removing them from foster homes for deportation. There will be a reckoning for this in this life or the next. For those of you who are supporting this, there will be a reckoning for this in this life or the next. And for those of you who are sitting silently by while these atrocities are unfolding before our eyes, there will be a reckoning. Go love your neighbor.
Breaking news right now, according to the Miami Herald, Florida officials handed over a 17-year-old Honduran foster child to ICE custody. The 17-year-old teenage boy, who is possibly a labor trafficking victim based on reporting from the Miami Herald, was literally taken from his Pensacola foster home in shackles. And this rule likely violates a 30-year-old state Department of Children's and Families rule that prohibits workers from acting upon a child's status. Henry is from Honduras. He crossed the border with his mother. From Texas, he moved to Pensacola. He entered foster care after being found living in a shed with no food, shelter, or income. And according to reports, he may have been a victim of labor trafficking. And so he was put in the foster care system, had a foster home, had a stable environment. And Florida officials just handed him over to ICE. And he was let out of his foster home, his safe environment, in shackles. Read the full story on the Miami Herald's website. Spread the word so more people know what's happening. Subscribe to my Substack, linked in bio for more, and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
I'm sorry, is America great yet? What the hell is going on? This is yesterday, 5/29, in San Antonio, Texas, in which these children, he's probably 12 years old, elementary kids, if not younger, were zip tied in a immigration court. They were actually going to have the judge dismiss their case. When a case is dismissed, that means that you're no longer subject to removal proceedings. And then why are they zip tied? Like, how fast do you think these kids are? That if they run, you as an adult don't think you're fast enough to catch them. This is not okay. And the fact that people think, oh, well, it's because we're taking out the illegals. We're removing all the illegal criminals. Yeah. Traumatizing kids is not the way. Regardless of why this mother she's getting handcuffed in front of her children. And regardless of why she's in this country, it is not okay to treat children this way. And the fact that people can be happy to see kids being treated this way just disgusts me. Because that just means you're just as much as a shitty person as those who are doing their job and putting zip ties on children. Now, God forbid you ever have to leave your country to find a better life for your children, because you don't understand the millions of reasons why people leave their country of origin. Yes, it's not okay to cross the country illegally, but if it's your life and your children's on the line, you will do whatever it takes to make sure that your children are kept alive and are well. But you know what also is not okay? To kidnap people in broad daylight with the excuse that because they're illegal, they're being taken to some detention center, who knows where, and for however long, treated worse than dogs with the excuse that they are being handcuffed and returned because they are undocumented immigrants. That is crazy. That is kidnapping. That is not okay. And the fact that people are still justifying this because this is taking the bad people out, it's outright ludicrous.
You have a picture of him somewhere? Are we just profiling a person?
Are we just kidnapping him? It's like, oh, you look Mexican? I'm Mexican too. What's up? How do you guys know I'm born here? This is insane.
At the end of spring in Los Angeles, what we saw is steeped up immigration enforcement, unlike we had ever seen in the city or in the county prior. And there was a number of very aggressive tactics that took a lot of people, including immigration and civil rights lawyers, by surprise.
One of the main tactics we were seeing a lot coming up were roving patrols. Those have been done historically along the border, involves agents who are in a car or on foot. They're trying to deter illegal activity is what they say. But really what we have found is that it involves driving around here in LA specifically, like predominantly Latino neighborhoods, looking for people that they're spotting on site. One of the cases we saw specifically was them pulling into a tow yard in Montebello, cut across the street, pull into this tow yard and immediately start asking questions. And that is a case that we have seen repeatedly coming up again and again. And a lot of these roving patrols then turn into another tactic, which is known as a consensual encounter.
Look how you got my hand. You're twisting that shit. I'm American, bro.
Yo, these guys are literally.
And a lot of attorneys question whether these consensual encounters are actually consensual. What we saw in the case of the tow yard with Brian Gaviria, he was a U.S. citizen, and there was others there who got asked their names.
Skin color. My homie was born here just because of the way he looks.
Lawyers say that when people are approached, they ask, are you American? Where were you born? But there's also come with guns, they come masked, and oftentimes the question is, are these people really free to leave as they're supposed to be able to?
Consensual encounter is done in such a way where it's so conversational, almost it's like, hey, can I ask you a question? And it's just agents approaching people, and sometimes people not knowing how to respond or what to do, especially if you have the pressure of a bunch of agents who are armed surrounding you. People are answering, no, I'm not here legally, or no, I'm not an American. And then that really is what we've seen that triggers the arrest.
And that leads rise to another tactic that we've seen a lot. It says, if they run, we will chase.
Agents are using people running away from them as reasonable suspicion to then stop them. And even American citizens have run from agents. People who have legal status to be here have run. Almost it's instinctual for some people because, as a federal judge said here in LA, if armed, masked men who are unidentified are running at you, it makes sense that people would then run away from them. There's surveillance footage we saw of a roving patrol that was happening in Pico Rivera, and there was a custodial worker, he was pushing a trash can in the parking lot. Border Patrol truck comes barreling toward him because to them, they were like, okay, he's running from us, that must mean he's in the country illegally. We were hearing cases where agents were like laughing at people who had run and been like, oh, we never would have got them if they had never run.
And part and parcel to these roving patrols, part and parcel to these consensual encounters are where they're stopping individuals. They often stop them at Home Depots or at car washes. There's been at least 58 car washes in the Los Angeles and Orange County that have been hit, some of them multiple times. And often they use these locations because they presume the individuals there aren't going to be documented individuals. A federal judge in Los Angeles found that is one of 3 other factors that cannot be used to determine reasonable suspicion to detain a person.
One big thing I would note is what we saw repeatedly in a lot of these videos that have gone viral. A lot of them do involve Border Patrol agents who don't historically work in the interior. They are more used to working on the border. They were in and out. 2 minutes, they go, they immediately make a beeline to the certain workers. We were finding in some cases, especially people who were brown-skinned, felt specifically targeted. It's a consensual encounter that comes off of a roving patrol. They say, what's your legal status? Are you a citizen? Where were you born? And then, they'll arrest people within a 2-minute span and clear out.
Remain silent. Just make sure you remain silent, okay? Don't answer any questions. Just say, plead the fifth.
I was on my way to work like any other day, except today there was protests going on. There was cars. Apparently there was a raid on my work. And so when I show up, all this is going on. There's piles of cars. I make my way to the front, and there's a wall of ICE agents blocking from anyone from going. I pull up and I stop in front of them. I get out my car and try to explain that I'm a U.S. citizen, that I'm just trying to get to work. I'm not there to protest them. I'm not there to fight them. I'm just trying to get to work. I didn't think it would be a problem as long as I told them what was going on. They got hostile. They didn't care what I had to say. They started yelling at me to do different things. It was at that point they started walking towards me. I got back in my car and they surrounded my car. They reversed me to get out of the way for them. I got out of the way. Their cars drove by, and then it was after all that they reapproached my car. They threw tear gas behind me. The tear gas got into my car, and they started banging on my driver's side and passenger side window. There was ICE agents in front of my car telling me to reverse, telling me to pull over to the side. All while other agents are pulling on my door handle, trying to rip my door open, trying to get me out of the car. All while other agents are telling me to do different things. No one was in charge.
You told them
Yeah.
you're a U.S. veteran. You told them you're a U.S. citizen. What was their response after they smashed your window?
The response was no response. I was guilty of anything they had thought I was. They didn't need an excuse for anything they did. They just did it.
I am heading to work here in a few minutes, but I couldn't leave today without reading you something that was sent to me by a friend in Los Angeles. I had a really long, in-depth conversation with an incredibly sweet woman who works at a cute little shop in Echo Park, a neighborhood in LA. Her two nephews, who are U.S. citizens and minors, 16 and 17 years old, were taken by ICE on Saturday morning while they were getting groceries. Presumably because they look Hispanic and they were wearing work boots and pants with paint on them. The agents were dressed in plain clothes with their face covered. Nobody knew where they were. They weren't allowed a phone call. The family found a human rights attorney who was willing to work pro bono, and she called everywhere and could not find these boys. They weren't in the system. They'd simply disappeared. When the attorney eventually found them yesterday, the boys were in a random basement, somewhere where they had been held with other men. No food, no water, no phone call, no bathroom, just buckets, and only the metallic emergency blankets to sleep under. When the attorney demanded their release, they were moved to a traditional holding cell, but still had to wait hours and hours while the attorney provided all of their documentation and proof of citizenship. They were citizens. Finally, when they were released, one boy had a large cut going down the side of his face, a concussion, and a fever. They hadn't eaten or drank anything at all since they were taken. Nobody had checked to see if they were okay. They have marks on their wrists from the zip tie handcuffs that were used on them. They were released to their family at 4:48 this morning. The boys are in the hospital getting checked out now, but they are traumatized and in shock. Please understand that ICE is racially profiling and taking anyone. These kids, children, are U.S. citizens. They had committed no crime. They are minors. This is happening right now in front of our faces. This is why the protests are only growing stronger. Fuck ICE. I don't know if there is a clearer example to show that these attacks are only rooted in racism. They are not going after criminals. They are going after anyone visibly brown, including little boys. If you have children and this story does not move you enough to consider changing your mind, you are morally fucking bankrupt. These are children who were at a grocery store picking up food in boots, and they were taken by unnamed, unmarked agents and held in a fucking basement. Fuck ICE, fuck fascism, and fuck anyone who supports this shit. You are disgusting.
Every Hispanic person, every brown person has to worry about ICE. Not because they've done anything wrong, but because of what they look like. Have you ever thought about that? You wake up, you drink your coffee, you scroll through your phone, you breathe freely, and then they wake up wondering, will today be the day? Will I come home? Will I be torn from my family, my job, my life? When you say you're for ICE, when you cheer them on, when you call for stronger enforcement, do you look at the brown faces around you? Because I promise you this, they look at you, they see you, and they wonder, are you the one? Are you the one that's going to racially profile them at the grocery store, at the gas station, at the park? Are you going to call ICE on them just because they spoke Spanish, had an accent, wore the wrong shade of brown? Some of you treat it like a game, a sport, like hunting season. You don't even realize it, but they do. They always do. They walk with fear. They live with tension in their shoulders, eyes scanning for the exits, backs never turned, because ICE doesn't ask for your story. ICE doesn't ask if you're a citizen, a green card holder, or someone who's been here for their whole damn life. ICE asks one thing. Do you look like you belong? And if I were in their shoes, if I've had to live with that kind of terror, if my skin meant suspicion, if every cop, every Karen, every flag-waving neighbor felt like a threat, I'd be honest with you. I think every white person might be the enemy too. And that's the weight we've put on their backs. That's the trauma we normalize. That's the fear they hold every single day. So if you support ICE, just know that fear lives in your shadow. Are you proud of that? Does that make you feel safer, stronger, better? Do you feel big now?
Some really shocking news. ICE earlier this year arrested and deported a 4-year-old American with stage 4 kidney cancer to Honduras without any due process consideration. According to the lawsuit, 3 American children ages 2, 4, and 7 were detained with their non-citizen parents in Louisiana and sent to Honduras earlier this year. The lawsuit alleges that the parents were never given a choice of whether or not the children should be deported to Honduras with them and were denied access to legal representation. The 4-year-old American was diagnosed at age 2 with a very aggressive form of kidney cancer and had been receiving critical life-saving care in the United States. The American plaintiffs are seeking a jury trial, damages for the arrest and for the removals to be found unlawful, and are demanding to be returned to the United States. The Department of Homeland Security is of course denying these allegations, but according to the American child's mother, she explicitly opposed the deportation of her American child to Honduras and never provided the Department of Homeland Security with consent to deport her American children to Honduras. The family was reportedly put on a plane just 24 hours after being detained by ICE, despite having evidence of the child's diagnosis. Please leave your thoughts in the comments and share this to spread awareness.
We have some news right now. In the past 24 hours, we learned that the Trump administration has deported at least 4 children, all of whom are U.S. citizens. And I want to highlight 2 specific cases. The first is one of the children has metastatic cancer, was deported without their medication, without a treatment plan, without access to their doctors that have been in the United States of America. The second is this 2-year-old that was deported without sufficient due process, according to a federal judge in Louisiana. These aren't the only cases of U.S. citizens being deported. They're just 2 of them. And while according to allegations they were deported alongside their mother, who may not have been a United States citizen, that doesn't matter because the children themselves are U.S. citizens and have rights, have due process rights under the law. Now the mother too, whether or not you are a citizen or not, you have due process rights. But the children can remain in the United States if they want to.
Right now, there's something called the Bear Gulch Fire in Washington State. It is currently the largest wildfire in the state. I believe it's hundreds of firefighters are fighting and trying to contain this thing at the moment. The other day, where a group of them were working, federal agents showed up. You would think to help with the fire, right? Grab a bucket or a hose and try and put out the fire. No, that's not why they were there. They were ICE agents, and they showed up to round up firefighters battling the wildfire. They actually detained and took away 2 firefighters who were there fighting this dangerous wildfire. Border Patrol agents arrested 2 firefighters battling the Bear Gulch Fire, the biggest active wildfire in Washington state, according to the Seattle Times. On Wednesday morning, 2 different crews of firefighters were cutting wood while waiting for their superior to arrive when Customs and Border Patrol agents showed up in police vests. The federal agents made the entire crew line up, so stop their work, by the way. Show ID, eventually detaining the 2 firefighters without giving them a chance to say goodbye to their fellow crew members and loved ones. You know, they're actually deporting U.S. veterans as well. People who served their country honorably. Even people who are receiving like VA benefits for their legitimate service are being kicked out of the country because they're not legal citizens, despite their service. These guys are literally fighting wildfires and they're being grabbed. All these people being detained and held, presumably while the fire continues. This is Donald Trump's America. This is how we're getting great again, right?
This message is for all the ICE agents out there today. When Donald Trump's reign of terror is over, we will be rounding you all up and putting you in jail. We're going to raid and destroy your homes. We're going to handcuff you and take you away in front of your families for breaking the Constitution of the United States of America. That's why we hold cameras to your face, so that we can have facial recognition for when Donald Trump's out of office. Because the tables are gonna turn on you. Me personally, I'll fight a fucking ICE agent. There's nothing illegal of that. They are hiding their faces. They could be criminals. I'll take my chances in court. Fuck around and find out. Have a nice day.
I just came across a video, and it's not the first one I've seen, of a woman that was complaining that people are telling her that because she's MAGA and because she wants illegals out of this country, she's not getting into heaven, and it don't make no sense to her. Well, how about we explore that a little bit using your own religious text for reference? Exodus 22:21. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Leviticus 19:33 and 34. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. And let's even go to the words in red, the words of Jesus Christ. This is from Matthew 25, starts at 31. Jesus' story of the sheep and the goats. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from the other, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on the right and the goats on his left. The king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world." In other words, y'all getting in heaven. For I was hungry when you gave me something to eat, and I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. And then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we do these things? When did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not look after me." They will also answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you?" He will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me." Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Those are the words of your Jesus. Those are the sacred words of your religion, your belief. And what I'm hearing is that if you treat the lowest people like crap, if you refuse them food, refuse them health care, refuse them housing, refuse them help, guess what? you might be a goat. But if, like me, you want to give these people health care, you want to give them an opportunity to better themselves, you want to feed them, you want to help them, you want to take care of them, the lowest of the low. Sounds like being a sheep ain't such a bad thing in that situation. So from your own book, all you MAGAs and all you people that are sitting there going, oh, we need to get these illegals out of here, da-da-da-da-da. That is why we say you're not getting into heaven. Because Jesus Christ himself says it in your own damn book. Take that however you want. They're not my words. They're not my words. Those are the words in red. Those are the words in red. So, don't be mad at me for it.
What is truly disheartening is all of these magats that are cheering this on. They watch videos like this and they make disgusting comments and say, I voted for this. Nothing that is happening right now is making America great. The whole Project 2025 is to make America white again. Stephen Miller has his way. There will not be a single person of color within the United States. In these very troubling times, please take care of your mental health. Take time for yourself. Spend time with friends and family. And if you can, get out in nature. And please ask for help if you need it.